Hello YouTube, this is RC Boogie Bash and I'm Jason, and this is a project. I think being in the hobby, um, you'll all know we have projects. You will, I assume, be the same as me and have several projects hanging around that you buy parts for and have in drawers and have up in the loft. This is going to be a video about a couple of my projects that I have on the go at last after several years of trying. This is the first one. Part of the reason for this is I also want to talk about a race format that has come across to this country from Japan. However, it's a race format that we kind of used to do when I was a teenager. It is not new as such, but it's becoming, hopefully becoming really popular. It's over there, it's Chonmahei, I think is how you pronounce it, which is actually a hairstyle. I don't understand why it's called that, but hey, Japan, you know. And it's over here, it's being commonly called Club 380 buggy racing. There's going to be links in the description to a Facebook group ran by a great chap called James Carroll. I've chatted to him messages a few times over the last week or so. He's getting a group together to be able to do Club 380 racing. I'll explain a little bit about what the racing is in a minute. There's a couple of events happening this year already. There's a big event hopefully in Birmingham in a few weeks time. So if you're in the Midlands and you have a car that's suitable for it, go along, go to the Facebook page and register, or you know, make sure that you've got an interest in there. So Club 380 racing, and what is this all about? Club 380 racing, as it kind of says in the title, is racing predominantly with a 380 motor, which is what some of the original Tamiyas in the 80s and 90s came out with. The Holiday Buggy, for example, 380 motor. The Grasshopper, 380 motor. There was a few others in the past that came out with 380 motors as well. The Grasshopper 2, I believe, came standard with a 380 motor. This is a fairly wanting some time spent on it. DT01. It is the Mad Fighter. And it also spawned the Mad Bull, which is the one with the massive tractor tires on it. I've had this for ages. It's become a kind of spares car for a couple of other bits and bobs. I used all the electrics in one of my other DT02s actually. But this is going to get a little bit of love to turn it into a 380 racer, probably for other people to use and myself. I'll drive it. It's a DT01, or commonly referred to as a DT01. So it's the first of those kind of breeds of chassis, all the way up to what the DT04. And I got this because I wanted all the different DTs. This hasn't got a motor or anything in it at the moment. I've got a 380 ready for it. I need to get new shocks. These are just Chinese ones that don't actually fit properly. So I need to get some proper length shocks. The fronts are okay. I might just keep those on there. They're 1/18 scale shocks. If you can see, they came off of a 1/18 scale monster truck and they fit brilliantly. So I'll probably keep that. DT01 suffers very badly from the toe-in suspension. It's probably the worst out of all of them. I'm going to try and resolve a little bit of that by getting adjustable turnbuckles onto here to give me more toe out, which will minimize the toe-in when it's under compression. And I might play around with some other options that you can do with these, putting these on upside down, but that means possibly having to cut a hole in the chassis, which I don't really want to do. It's a very simple car, as most of the kind of 380 cars are. But so this is kind of, it's not my main project, but it's one of them that I want to get done over the next month or two. I'm hoping to do some 380 racing up here in Dundee. I've already had a quick chat with some of the guys about it, but I need to properly investigate if they're willing to do something. They are still hoping to get an outside track. It'll be short, it'll be quite a small track, which is ideal for 380 racing. The other things that happen in 380 racing, there is another class, which is the wheelie class, because it's all about the fun. It's all about the fun. The basics of 380 racing is you do 3 laps over 3 rounds. You count your own laps. Once you've hit 3, you pull out of the race. And if you're the first to finish, you get 1 point. If you're second, you get 2 points. If you're third, you get 3 points, and so forth. Ideally, you only ever have about 6 cars racing. So that means the maximum score you can get is 6. Or, I mean, I've seen up to 10, but that's crazy. And the lowest points wins the competition over 3 rounds. So if you come first every round, you'll have 3 points. You'll win that particular group or competition. You can bump up in groups as well if you really want to. The other thing is you don't need marshals, because if you roll over or crash, then you become an obstacle and you're out of the race. You can become a zombie, which is if you get back onto your wheels, you can continue racing if there's still time left. But you don't need marshals. You don't need lap timing equipment. You don't need anything fancy. You just need 3 or 4 friends, even 2 or 3 friends, and a space to drive. You make a track anywhere that you can if you want to, and you drive around it 3 laps, 3 rounds, total of 9 laps, and see who comes out with the lowest score. It's a very, very simple format. It's what we used to do as kids. You know, we used to set up a track somewhere, usually a building site, and drive around it 3 or 4 times, because that's how long you could only get 3 rounds out of it, because your battery was dying by the end of doing 9 laps, and there wasn't any fancy chargers and things like that really back then. So, Club 380 Racing. Check out the links in the description. Go and have a look at the Facebook page. There's about 140 members there at the moment, trying to get more involved. It's a great community. It's all about fun racing, and the main classes are, like I said, 380 motored buggies, 2-wheel drive, like the Grasshopper, Hornet, DTO ones. You can use, there was something else that you could use, can't remember what it was now. Oh yes, the kind of Blitzer Beetles. You can mount 380 motors in those as well, but they're all very similar cars. You are allowed various upgrades. You can upgrade the shocks, you can have bearings in the car if you want. The DTO2s can have the chassis brace, but everything else is basically stock, unless you need specific tyres for the track you're driving on. The other class as such is what my next project is. And that next project is a wheelie. A white wheelie. That's kind of hard to say. Say that 3 times fast. Why wheelie, why wheelie, why wheelie? I've had this chassis for years. I'm a big fan of all the white stuff that Tamiya does. I did have a white TTOB, which unfortunately I sold, I think, was it last year? Gosh, it was only last year. And that is one of my biggest regrets. I should not have sold that. It took me ages to get all the parts. And this is the white lunchbox chassis. So I'm going to be doing, I've already got 2 lunchboxes, which I'm doing a conversion for my wife because she wants one. That involves, in fact, you can see a little bit. That's one of my own 3D printed designed chassis braces. As part and parcel of that, I also have these. These are going to go onto the side of the existing mount locations, and that makes it a wider chassis, because the body shell that my wife wants to use on her lunchbox is a Volkswagen camper, and it's wider than what the normal lunchy is. So I've had to make these will just have Velcro on the sides to be able to stick the car on. Chassis brace. I'm making one that actually has a longitudinal, is that a real word? Don't know if that's a real word or not. Anyway, a battery mount is going to go into the middle of it. That's on my print bread at the moment, so that's printing right now. But yes, this is going to be my white version of a lunchbox, but it's not going to have the lunchbox body. It's going to have a Pajero body. This is the body of the re-release, came out a couple of years ago. Starts off, I'll be able to see still inside, I don't know. Oh yes, there's a little bit there. Bright red, but to go along with the white theme, and basically my racing colours, white, black and orange occasionally. They're the three colours I use in combination in most of my stuff when I paint it myself. So this is going to be my wheelie project. Might not use it for 380 racing, but again, it'll be doable. And it's just going to be kitted out with all the normal stuff that you would get on a wheelie. One thing I have realised once I've been making these is it was basically today. I was today old when I realised that this chassis has got two suspension mounting options. It has the classic ones that you see being used all the time, which are these ones here. Obviously, originally with the lunchbox and various other ones, they are just Pongo piston shocks that come up and out. But you can get little clips that you put in to be able to put proper shocks on. That's a given. But there is also a mount. Where is it? Here. Right there. That is a shock mount. Comes through onto the body at the top here. And that will fit, if I get in, here's a shock. That will take your shock, and it screws in from the top. So yeah, it has suspension options. I never knew that. I just thought it was this all the time being used. But you can use that. It has a different shock mount if you want to use them. So there you go. There's a fact that I didn't know until today. And I just discovered it because I was measuring up stuff for this new battery mount that I'm making, and I saw these here, and I thought, what is that? And I realised, oh my days, they're shock mounts. So I might use them and see what happens. I'm doing this as a fairly low riding lunchbox style car. So usually, well, not usually, you can add in, there's a block that goes here, a block that goes there to put your battery under. And it's another almost inch, probably 2 centimeters higher. But I'm using the lower points here, and I'm going to be using the Hornet axle mounts. Might even use Grasshopper axle mounts, but the thing with the Grasshoppers is that it is just it's a cantilever. It's just a single action rear suspension. Then, at least with the Hornets, you get a little bit of pitch with it, but I'll see. So this is another project, my white lunchbox wheelie racer for the Club 380 stuff. So that's that project. I'm going to go through one more type of project that I have going at the moment, and it's a Tamiya, but it's a little bit different. So that project is up next, and here it is. Well, part of it, and it's not a Grasshopper. No, it's not a small Grasshopper, but it could be, and that's the thought. I could probably do that. I could probably make a little Grasshopper body for this. There might already be one, I can't remember. This is a Tamiya quick drive chassis. So the quick drive cars started coming out in, I think it was 1988, maybe 1989. I was once in the past an assistant manager at Beatties, which was a toy shop in the UK for many years, and I worked in the RC and trains department. And these were hugely popular, and I got a couple. I got a couple from back in the day, and these have become one of my little guilty pleasures to do with Tamiya. I still have my original from that time shooting star. It's just kind of like a mini version of a Thundershot, basically. These are 2-wheel drive, 1/14th scale, mini grasshoppers. They are mini Hornets. They have again friction shocks working in there with. They have a little bit of tilt, not a huge amount. All very, very simple stuff. It was a great platform. I really wish they'd re-release these. Mine's slightly yellowed, which, you know, camera's making it look whiter than it actually is. But these are brilliant to drive. They have a high and a low gear, which you can change by flicking a switch on the actual axle, and that shifts the gearing around to be able to give you almost like a crawler and a racer. They can only do, even in the high gear, they could maybe do 5 or 6 miles an hour. But they're really tough. They're robust little cars. They're great. And these have become my kind of collector thing. I have my shooting star. This is in fully working condition. It drives brilliantly. Nothing wrong with it at all. But I now have, I think, four of these now. The one that I'm currently working on is a manta ray. This was in a very poor state when I got it. I've now started to do some of the renovation on it. It had massive chunks taken out of the rear diff casing, so that's been buffed down. I'm using various polishes and conditioners to be able to try and get the plastic back to a reasonable state. And you know, it'll be smooth, but it probably won't be shiny. But that's not the biggest thing for these. They're powered by a little 280 motor. It has an onboard circuit board which has everything with it, and a built-in servo. But all that can come out, and what I'm planning to do with a couple of these, possibly this one, or maybe just use this base chassis as a start, is I'm going to be putting in a 2.4 gig radio control system with a low profile micro servo, a little 20 amp, maybe 30 amp ESC, which will go to the 280 motor, and just modernize them a little bit. As I said earlier, I really wish they would re-release them, because these are great. They're a lot of fun. They came out and they were only about, I think they were £60 ready to run, because they come with all the transmitters and everything you need. They were, I think if I'm right, yes, they're AM. But they have a crystal inside, like the old school days where you had to match your crystals with your transmitters. So they have a crystal, goes into the printed circuit board on the inside, and then you just put AA batteries in there, and off you go. You just go and have some fun. Brilliant little introduction to the RC market. You can tinker with them. You can take them apart if you want to. They have spares. Great little things. So I've got the manta ray, that's in the works. I also have, so I'm leaning backwards, Thunder Dragon. I think it's a Thunder Dragon, mini version of a Thunder Dragon. This is the latest purchase. This was from eBay for £30. Absolute bargain. I would turn it upside down, but it's got bits on the inside that I've just left running. I've got this one in a much better state than the manta ray. Cleaned off all of the stickers and everything, using unsticky stuff, just a solvent that doesn't damage the plastic, and then I'm going to reproduce the decals and reapply decals to it to be able to bring it back to its kind of former glory. This is one that'll definitely be a 2.4 gig. It's already, I've taken out some of the servo mounts and everything. It's got none of the interior electronics. This will get some new stuff put into it. I've replaced all the springs. This had a snap on the rear chassis under here. That's now been repaired. But they're great. A little guilty pleasure of mine are the Tamiya quick drives. Last but not least in this range that I have through here and this was a find. They also did a version of monster trucks, and the one that was hardest to get hold of was the Monster Beetle. I have the chassis upstairs and it needs a lot of work, but I found this body and it is in absolute mint condition. There is not a scratch. It's 100% complete. It's in wonderful condition. I'm really excited about trying to get this onto a working car. If I can't get the Monster Beetle to work, the quick drive Monster Beetle to work properly, then I might do something non-destructive with this, because it'll fit on a WR02, the Wild Willy chassis, or the comical buggies. This is about the right size to fit on that. It needs a little bit of work done to be able to make it fit, but I'll adapt the chassis rather than adapting the body, because I don't want to do any damage to this because it's in such good condition. So yeah, Tamiya quick drives. We were around for about 10 years approximately. Oh, that's interesting. That might actually fit on there. That's a novel idea. I think I might be able to make that work. Anywho, great things. You can find them on eBay, ranging anywhere from, like what I found, £30 up to about £400. Some of them are very, very expensive. This one in good condition is in that kind of bracket. It can go for about £400. I'd love them to release something similar to this again in this country, in Europe, because I think even though we've got the Grasshopper and the Hornet, there is still a hole in the market for smaller cars that are really easy to work on and to play with. So yeah. Anyway, I will end this video here. It's probably been quite a long one, covered a lot of ground. Just want to reiterate that if you get the opportunity, check the links in the description for the Club 380 stuff. Great bunch of guys there, hoping to bring just fun, silly racing to the forefront again. Very easy to get into entry level stuff. But that is me signing out for now. As always, thank you very much for watching. If you haven't subscribed and liked already, please do so. It means a huge amount to me. And you know, it's nice to have a building audience. And if you've got any questions or comments, then leave them in the comments below. As always, stay safe and have fun with RC. Thank you.